During the Cold War, the world was increasingly divided in two, as both the USA and the Soviet Union aggressively tried to expand their spheres of influence. As a reaction, attempts were made by smaller nations to create a third bloc, the non-aligned movement. In 1955, Indonesian President Sukarno hosted the Bandung Conference, where the first foundation for this movement would be laid.
This is the first intercontinental conference of colored peoples, so-called colored peoples, in the history of mankind.
29 nations, mostly ex-colonies, were represented. This was a much appreciated opportunity for the developing world to talk shit about both the Soviet Union and the USA. A lot of common ground was revealed among the participants, and the conference was deemed a success. From then on, the United States and the Soviet Union would have to respect the sovereignty of the non-aligned nations. Ironically, it was this same President Sukarno of Indonesia who hosted the conference that became the subject of a strange power struggle between the Soviet KGB and the CIA. A struggle not fought with weapons, but with sex tapes. You see, President Sukarno suffered from one major weakness: women. And both the KGB and the CIA were willing to exploit this. The first move was made by the Soviets. The KGB's plan was to tempt Sukarno with hot KGB operatives and use the resulting sex tape to blackmail him. This was a common Soviet blackmail technique, using the so-called kompromat, compromising material, to exert pressure on foreign politicians. I'll elaborate a bit on this kompromat technique and the scale at which this was used. In the Soviet Union, there was only one travel agency allowed to take foreigners into the Soviet Union: Intourist. Intourist was a subsidiary of the KGB, the Soviet Secret Service. They handled the travel of the visitors, the tours they would go on. They even operated the hotels and the restaurants foreigners visited. During your whole trip to the Soviet Union, there would always be someone nearby on the KGB's payroll. The person carrying your bags, the bartender, the cleaning lady, your translator. Intourist was probably the closest you can get to real-life gang stalking. So when at one point Sukarno made a state visit to Moscow, the KGB had his hotel room bugged with cameras, or, knowing Intourist, it already was bugged by default, and visited by a group of female agents dressed up as air hostesses. The resulting encounter was caught on film. The next day, the KGB invited Sukarno for a little chat in a theater. "Have a seat, Mr. President. We might have something that might be of interest to you." "Oh, splendid. Is for me?" "Hey, the best part was coming." Sukarno thought it was a gift to him and actually wanted extra copies to show his friends. Apparently, the KGB had no idea that President Sukarno was actually proud of his sexual prowess. During one visit in the US, he even asked his hosts for escorts to keep him company in the hotel room. He was also a proponent of polygamy, as at some point he had 6 official wives at the same time. One of which he picked up on a state visit to Japan when she was just 19 years old. This girl, Devi Sukarno, would end up becoming a famous personality in Japan, writing an autobiographical manga starring the man himself. Nonetheless, the KGB still tried to spread the video, and rumors of it took hold in Indonesia. Yet again, the Indonesian reaction was not as they had hoped.
Nice.
KGB agent, President Sukarno?
Yes. Nice. Nice. Has she performed oral sex on him?
I think so.
Nice. 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 So wait, what's the crime? The crime is she isn't doing it with me.
Anyway, at some point, the CIA got wind of the KGB's little pornographic project and wanted to one-up them. Why? Maybe they feared that the blackmail was successful, or maybe they were just this desperate to remove Sukarno from power, especially since they recently had to shut down their support for the 1958 Permesta rebellion after one of their agents got taken prisoner. The CIA handled the problem a little different though, since they weren't as experienced as the KGB when it comes to compromat. Instead of hooking the real Sukarno up with some escorts, they decided to make a fake video, either using a silicone mask of Sukarno's face or a lookalike, depending on who you ask. The film was called Happy Days and was recorded by a porn studio in Los Angeles and handed over to the CIA. And then, with the film made, they used it for nothing. The CIA did not use the film. Eventually, the CIA, with help from MI6, did manage to replace Sukarno in 1965 with a true and tested method: an astroturfed military coup. His successor, the US-backed dictator Suharto, proceeded to genocide up to 1 million people. But hey, at least he wasn't a socialist. Or worse, a coomer.